The cake in front of me has 21 flickering candles, their tiny flames slowly sinking into the thick white frosting. But no one's singing to me. No one's clapping. Instead, the entire room erupts into cheers for my brother Lucas as he stands beside my parents, his arm casually slung over my father's shoulder, his freshly pressed suit reflecting the golden glow of the overhead chandelier. I'm Ava, and today is my 21st birthday. But you wouldn't know it from this party. My parents have managed to hijack my milestone, turning it into a celebration of Lucas's latest achievement, an internship offer from one of the country's top law firms. My cake, my candles, my moment all absorbed into the black hole of his never-ending string of successes. Make-a-wish champion, my dad booms, squeezing Lucas's shoulder. My mother, her mascara slightly smudged from happy tears, clutches her wine glass with the kind of proud grip that says she's already envisioning his future framed degrees on her wall. I stab my fork into the slice of cake on my plate, the metal biting into the porcelain with a small, satisfying scrape. I focus on the sensation, grounding myself, resisting the urge to throw the whole thing across the room. Across the living room, Aunt Karen is dabbing at her eyes. Uncle Mike is talking about connections at his law firm, and my cousin Sophie gives me a sympathetic glance from the corner. Her expression a mirror of my barely contained frustration. Speech, someone calls out, and Lucas, ever the charmer, steps forward, flashing that perfectly polished smile. I just want to thank everyone for being here tonight. He begins, his voice smooth and confident. He positions himself in front of the happy birthday banner. I hung up this morning, my banner now hidden behind hastily pinned up, "Congratulations, streamers." I swallow the bitter taste of betrayal, the frosting on my tongue suddenly too sweet. I'm so grateful to have such a supportive family. Lucas continues, his eyes sweeping over the crowd, carefully avoiding mine. It's like I'm invisible, just another shadow in his spotlight. The words bubble up before I can stop them. Interesting timing for this celebration, I say, my voice cutting through the applause like a shard of glass. The room goes quiet. My mother's practiced smile freezes the one she uses when she's trying to maintain control. Ava dear, let's not, she says, a slight tremor in her voice. Not what, I set my fork down, my pulse throbbing in my temples. Not mention that it's my birthday, or not point out that you turned my 21st into Lucas's victory lap. My father's jaw tightens, his eyes narrowing. Don't be dramatic, Ava. He snaps, the edge in his tone sharp enough to draw blood. This is a significant moment for the family. The family? I let out a harsh, hollow laugh. You mean for Lucas? Everything's always for Lucas. Lucas, to his credit at least, has the decency to look uncomfortable. He shifts his weight, his eyes darting between me and our parents, clearly caught off guard. Ava, come on, he says, trying for a comforting tone. Don't make this a thing. Don't, Ava, come on me. I snap, standing so abruptly my chair scrapes loudly against the hardwood floor. The room collectively holds its breath. Do you know I got accepted into Columbia's writing program? Of course you don't. Because when I told you last week, you were too busy planning this. The room is silent now, a stunned, suffocating stillness hanging between us. My father's face turns a dangerous shade of red, his fists clenching at his sides. You're embarrassing yourself, he hisses. His voice low and controlled, the kind of tone he uses when he wants to remind me of my place. Embarrassing myself. I feel the heat rising in my cheeks, my pulse pounding in my ears. No, Dad. I'm done being the family embarrassment, the one you ignore while you pour every ounce of your pride into Lucas. You finally pushed me to my limit. My mother steps forward, her face pale, her mascara now definitely smudged. Ava, if you can't appreciate what we've done for this family. What you've done for this family? I cut her off, my voice rising. You mean what you've done for him, for your precious golden child? Well, congratulations, you finally broke me. My father's face hardens, his jaw set, in that unyielding, stubborn way that always meant I was about to be shut down. If that's how you feel, he says coldly, his eyes locking onto mine. There's the door. The room holds its collective breath. I look around, my gaze skipping over the familiar faces, some shocked, some embarrassed, some carefully neutral, like they're witnessing a car crash in slow motion. Only Sophie, standing in the corner, her eyes wide, and my grandmother sitting quietly in her armchair, show any flicker of sympathy. Fine. I say, my voice steady, the words sharp and clear as shattered glass. I grab my purse from the chair by the door, my movements sharp and final. Happy birthday to me. As I walk out the front door, the cool spring air slaps my face, carrying the faint scent of the blooming cherry blossoms that line our street. My phone buzzes in my pocket. It's Ella. Did you do it? Did you finally stand up to them? I text back, my fingers trembling. It's done. Crash at my place, she replies instantly. Spare room's ready, and Ava, I'm proud of you. I take one last look at the house, the lights still blazing, the muffled sounds of the party leaking through the windows. I feel something shift inside me, a spark igniting, turning the hurt into something harder, sharper. They want me gone. Fine, but they're about to learn that the daughter they overlooked is the one they should have feared the most. Ella's spare room feels like a sanctuary, a small cluttered space filled with mismatched blankets and old concert posters. It's nothing like my perfectly staged museum-like bedroom back home, and that's exactly what I need right now. The faint hum of traffic outside is a comforting reminder that life goes on even when mine feels like it's just been shattered. 3 days have passed since I stormed out of my own hijacked birthday party, and my parents haven't called. Not a single message, not even a half-hearted passive-aggressive voicemail from my mother, just radio silence. I should be used to it by now, but it still stings. Earth to Ava, Ella says, leaning against the door frame, 2 steaming mugs of coffee in hand. You're going to burn a hole in your phone if you keep staring at it like that. I take the mug she offers, wrapping my hands around the warm ceramic. It's a small comfort, the bitter aroma cutting through the fog in my mind. Sorry, just thinking. Ella flops onto the bed beside me, her long, dark curls spilling over the pillows. Don't apologize. You did the right thing. Standing up for yourself. That's huge. I nod, taking a sip of coffee, the heat scalding my tongue but grounding me in the moment. I need to focus. I need a plan. I can't just drift through Ella's spare room like a ghost haunting someone else's life. My phone buzzes, the screen lighting up with a familiar name. Gran. My heart skips a beat. She's the only one in my family who's ever seen me really seen me. I quickly swipe to answer. Ava, darling, are you all right? Her voice crackles through the line, a thin thread of worry wrapped in that warm, steady tone I've loved since childhood. I'm okay, Gran, I say, trying to sound stronger than I feel, staying with Ella for now. Good, good, she says, a hint of relief in her voice. Then after a pause, she adds, I'm proud of you, you know, for standing up to them. It's long overdue. My chest tightens, a mix of gratitude and the old familiar ache of being the family's afterthought. Thanks, Gran. I don't know what to do next. She hesitates, and I hear the faint creak of her rocking chair in the background, the sound of her settling in for a serious conversation. There are things you need to know, Ava. Things I couldn't tell you before. Meet me at Riverside Park tomorrow. The usual bench. 10 a.m. Before I can ask what she means, I hear my mother's voice in the background, sharp and cutting, and Gran quickly whispers, be careful. They're not what you think, before hanging up. I sit there, the phone still pressed to my ear, the dial tone buzzing like a swarm of angry bees. Ella nudges me with her elbow. What's that face for? Gran wants to meet tomorrow, I say, my mind racing. She said there are things I need to know. Secrets. Ella's eyes light up, always ready for a bit of family drama. Secrets like dark family secrets. This just got interesting. I force a small smile, trying to match her energy, but my mind is already spiraling, pulling at loose threads I hadn't even known were there. What does Gran know? What has she been hiding? The next morning, the air in Riverside Park is crisp, the kind that stings your cheeks and makes every breath feel sharper, cleaner. I find Gran sitting on our usual bench, a thick manila envelope clutched in her lap. She looks smaller somehow, her frail frame bundled in a wool coat, silver hair pulled back into a neat bun. She looks up as I approach, her blue eyes bright and sharp as ever. Ava, she says, reaching out to squeeze my hand. Her fingers are cool, the skin paper thin but still strong. Sit, darling. I drop onto the bench beside her, my pulse drumming in my ears. She hands me the envelope, her gaze never leaving mine. Before you say anything, just know this. I tried to protect you. I tried to stop them. Gran, what are you talking about? I whisper, my fingers trembling as I break the seal on the envelope. Inside, I find pages and pages of bank statements, transfer records, letters. My eyes skim the numbers, my heart sinking as I piece together the story they tell. They lied to you, Ava, Gran says, her voice tight with years of pent-up frustration. Your grandfather set up trust funds for both you and Lucas. Equal amounts, but your parents siphoned your share into Lucas's accounts over the years. Private schools, sports camps, that ridiculous car, all paid for with your money. The world tilts the neatly manicured lawn of the park, blurring around the edges. But they said they couldn't afford my tuition. That's why I had to take out loans. Gran's grip on my hand tightens. I tried to stop it, but your father threatened to cut me off from the family. Said I'd never see you again if I interfered. My phone buzzes in my pocket. It's Lucas. I ignore it, my hands shaking as I flip through more documents. Does he know? Did Lucas know about this? Gran hesitates, her lips pressing into a thin, worried line. No. He's as much a pawn in their game as you are. They've made him dependent, entitled just another piece on their chessboard. My phone buzzes again, this time a text from Sophie. Found something in Uncle Mike's study. You need to see this. Can we meet tonight? I swallow. My mind spinning, the pieces of my life rearranging themselves into a darker, more twisted picture. My parents didn't just overlook me. They stole from me. Lied to me. Built their perfect world on my sacrifices. I shoved the papers back into the envelope, my pulse racing. Gran squeezes my hand one last time, her eyes filled with a fierce, unspoken warning. Be careful, Ava. They won't give up their secrets without a fight. I stand the envelope clutched to my chest, the chill of the morning air seeping into my bones. Thanks, Gran, for telling me, for believing in me. She watches me walk away, her figure small and fragile against the backdrop of the towering oaks. I feel the weight of her years, of her silent battles pressing down on my shoulders. As I head back to Ella's, the envelope clutched tightly in my hand. One thought echoes through my mind, sharp and clear as shattered glass. They've taken enough from me. Now it's my turn. That night, Ella and I sit cross-legged on her living room floor, the envelope from Gran spread open between us, papers scattered like the shattered pieces of my past. Ella leans over, her dark curls falling into her eyes as she skims a particularly dense-looking bank statement. This is insane, she whispers, tapping a line with her chipped purple nail polish. They've been moving your money for years. It's like they were setting you up to fail from the start. I swallow hard, the bitter taste of betrayal still fresh on my tongue. They always said they couldn't afford to send me to Columbia. That I needed to be realistic, focus on a practical career, something that wouldn't drain the family's finances. Ella snorts, tossing the paper onto the growing pile of evidence. Meanwhile, Lucas gets tennis lessons, private tutors, and a shiny new BMW for his high school graduation. This isn't just favoritism, Ava. This is straight-up theft. A sharp knock on the door jolts us both upright, our eyes locking in a moment of shared panic. Ella scrambles to her feet, her bare toes skidding slightly on the hardwood as she moves to the peephole. She turns back to me, eyes wide. It's Sophie, she mouths, unlocking the door with shaky hands. Sophie slips inside, her face pale, her usually perfectly styled hair a tangled mess. She's clutching a small stack of papers to her chest, her breath coming in short, panicked bursts. I had to come, she gasps, collapsing onto the floor beside us. Uncle Mike caught me in his study earlier. He knows I took these. She spreads the papers out in front of us, her hands trembling. They're different from Gran's documents. More recent, more detailed, with familiar names and dates that send a chill racing down my spine. What is this? I ask, reaching for the top sheet. It's a ledger filled with carefully documented transactions, names I recognize from our family gatherings. Cousins, aunts, even family friends. Sophie leans in closer, her voice a harsh whisper. They've been moving money around, Ava. Not just yours. They've siphoned funds from other family members too. Trusts, business investments, inheritance payouts, it's all here. They're building their little empire on everyone else's futures. I stare down at the neatly printed numbers, the cold, unfeeling evidence of my parents' betrayal. But why? Why would they do this to their own family? Ella snorts, her lips twisting into a bitter smile. Because they can. Because they've convinced everyone they're the perfect power couple, the model parents. And because they never thought anyone would have the guts to stand up to them. Sophie's eyes dart to the door, her entire body tense like a rabbit sensing a hawk overhead. They're already on edge. After you walked out at the party, your dad tore through the house yelling about ungrateful children and ruined reputations. If he finds out I took these, I reach out, squeezing her hand. You did the right thing, Soph, but we have to be careful. If they know we're onto them, they'll shut us down before we even get a chance to fight back. Ella finishes, her voice grim. I take a deep breath, my mind spinning. I think of Gran's words, the quiet warning in her eyes. They won't give up their secrets without a fight. Okay, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. We need a plan. Something they won't see coming. Ella grins, a wicked spark lighting up her eyes. Now you're talking. What's the first move? I grab my phone, scrolling through my contacts until I find the one name I never thought I'd have to call. Lucas. My finger hovers over the call button for a moment, my pulse pounding in my ears. They've built their kingdom on lies, I say, locking eyes with Sophie and Ella. It's time we take it apart brick by brick. I hit the call button, holding my breath as the phone rings once, twice. Finally, Lucas's voice crackles through the line, tinged with confusion and a hint of guilt. Ava, he says, his tone cautious. Why are you calling me? I grip the phone tighter, the edges pressing into my palm. We need to talk, face to face. It's important. There's a long pause, the kind that stretches into uncomfortable silence, the kind that makes you question every choice you've ever made. Fine, he says at last, his voice flat, resigned. Where and when? I glance at Ella, who nods, already pulling out her laptop, a determined set to her jaw. Ella's place. Tomorrow night. And Lucas, come alone. I hang up before he can argue, my heart racing, my mind already churning through the possibilities. Lucas has always been their favorite, their golden boy, the perfect son. But if there's even a chance he doesn't know the full extent of their lies, if he's as much a pawn in their game as I've been, I close my eyes, taking a deep, steadying breath. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about reclaiming my life, my future, and the truth they tried to bury. And I'm ready to burn it all down if I have to. The next evening, Lucas steps into Ella's apartment, his tall frame filling the narrow hallway. He looks around, his sharp, calculating eyes, taking in the mismatched furniture, the faint scent of incense, the chipped paint on the walls. It's a far cry from the pristine, curated world he's used to. The world our parents built brick by brick, lie by lie. He turns to me, his brows knitting together in confusion. What's this about, Ava? Are you really crashing on a friend's couch because of one family argument? I force myself to stay calm, my fingers gripping the edge of the dining table to steady my nerves. It's not just one argument, Lucas. It's years of being pushed aside, of being the family afterthought. But that's not why I called you here. Ella leans against the kitchen counter, her arms crossed, eyes sharp and watchful. Sophie hovers nearby, her hands twisting nervously in her lap, clearly regretting her decision to be here. I catch her eye, giving her a small nod. We're in this together now. I toss the manila envelope onto the table between us. Look at this. Lucas hesitates, his jaw tightening, but he reaches for the envelope, flipping it open. His eyes skim the pages, his expression shifting from mild irritation to confusion, then to something darker, something closer to fear. What is this? He asks, his voice dropping. He looks up at me, his face pale, the color drained from his usually confident, smug features. It's the truth, I say, my voice steady, my pulse thundering in my ears. Gran gave me those. It's proof that Mom and Dad have been siphoning my trust fund for years, moving my money into your accounts. They've been building your future at the expense of mine. Lucas's hands tremble as he flips through the documents, his gaze jumping from one damning number to the next. I see the exact moment the reality hits him, the precise second his world cracks open. No, he whispers, shaking his head. No, this can't be right. They wouldn't do that. Ella steps forward, her voice sharp. Wake up, Lucas. They did this. They lied to you just like they lied to Ava. You've been their puppet, their perfect little golden boy, but it's all built on her sacrifices. Lucas's hands drop to his sides, the papers fluttering to the floor around his feet like autumn leaves. He looks at me, his eyes wide, his breath coming in short, panicked gasps. Ava, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. I believe him for a moment. I see the genuine shock in his eyes, the raw, unfiltered horror of realizing his entire life has been a carefully constructed lie. But that doesn't make this right. It doesn't erase the years of neglect, the endless comparisons, the birthdays forgotten in the shadow of his achievements. Sophie stands, crossing the room, to place a comforting hand on his arm. They've been using us, Lucas. All of us. Not just Ava. I found more papers, proof that they've drained other family members too. Trust funds, business investments, even retirement savings. It's a web of lies. Lucas sinks into a chair, his head in his hands, his shoulders trembling. I almost feel sorry for him, almost reach out to comfort him, but I stop myself. He's not the victim here. He's just another piece of the puzzle, another pawn in their twisted game. They've turned us against each other, I say, my voice hardening. They've pitted us against each other our whole lives, and we've been too blind, too trusting to see it. But not anymore. Lucas looks up. His eyes rimmed with the beginnings of tears. His jaw clenched so tightly I can see the muscle twitch. What do we do? Ava. How do we fight them? I exchange a glance with Ella, who gives me a small encouraging nod. This is the moment. The point of no return. We expose them. I say, my voice steady, the words coming out colder than I intended. We take everything they've built on lies and tear it down. Lucas blinks, his breath catching in his throat. Expose them to who? The family. The police. To everyone, I reply, my heart pounding. To the entire world if we have to. They've hidden behind their perfect facade for too long. It's time they face the consequences. Sophie steps forward, her face set with a fierce determination I've never seen before. We start with the family. Let them know what's been happening. Let them decide if they still want to stand by our parents or if they're ready to take back what's theirs. Lucas leans back, running a hand through his hair, his mind clearly racing, trying to catch up with the reality crashing down around him. But if we do this, if we really do this, there's no going back. They'll come after us. They'll try to destroy us. I meet his eyes, feeling the old familiar anger burn away the last remnants of fear. Let them try. I'm done being their pawn. It's time we took control of our own lives. He hesitates, his eyes searching mine for a sign, a reassurance that this isn't a mistake, that we're not about to burn our lives to the ground for nothing. Finally, he nods, his jaw setting with a resolve I've never seen before. All right, I'm in. Ella pumps her fist, a fierce, satisfied grin spreading across her face. Now that's what I'm talking about. I reach down, gathering the fallen papers into a neat stack, the weight of them solid and real in my hands. This isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about justice. It's about taking back everything they've stolen from us piece by piece, lie by lie. As Lucas stands, his shoulders squaring, his face hardening into the determined mask of a man ready for battle. I feel the first glimmer of hope I've had in years. We're not just going to survive this, we're going to win. The following days blur into a frantic, adrenaline-fueled haze. Ella transforms her living room into a makeshift war room, the walls slowly disappearing behind a patchwork of printouts, spreadsheets, and hastily scribbled notes. Sophie digs into the family archives, unearthing forgotten documents and old contracts, while Lucas, still reeling from his shattered illusions, makes quiet late-night calls to cousins and uncles, testing the waters for allies. I barely sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see my parents' faces, their perfect smiles, hiding 1,000 lies. I picture my mother's carefully curated Instagram feed, her posts about family unity and sacrifice, each one a carefully constructed mask over the rot beneath. It fuels me, keeps me sharp even as exhaustion pulls at my bones. It's a Wednesday evening when the first crack appears in my parents' armor. Lucas bursts through Ella's door, his eyes wild, his hair disheveled, clutching his laptop like a lifeline. I found it! He gasps, dropping onto the couch, his fingers trembling as he flips open the screen. I found the smoking gun. Ella and I exchange a glance, our hearts racing as we crowd around him. Sophie, perched on the arm of the couch, leans in, her eyes wide with anticipation. Lucas takes a deep breath, his fingers flying over the keyboard, pulling up a series of emails, spreadsheets, and encrypted files. They've been funneling money into offshore accounts for years. I found traces of it in Dad's old emails, buried under layers of fake business expenses and shell companies. This isn't just about our trust funds. It's about tax evasion, fraud, and money laundering. I stare at the screen, my heart pounding so loudly I can barely hear his words. How did you find this? He looks up, his eyes blazing with a mix of fear and anger. I hacked into his private server. I didn't even know he had one until I remembered something he said years ago. That real power isn't just about what you own, but what you can hide. Ella lets out a low whistle, leaning back, her eyes sparkling with admiration. Damn, Lucas, you might just be the perfect little criminal after all. He shoots her a withering look, his jaw clenching. I'm not proud of it. I needed to know. I needed to see for myself what they've been hiding. I reach out, placing a hand on his shoulder, feeling the tension radiating through his muscles. You did the right thing, Lucas. This is the proof we need. Sophie leans forward, her eyes locked on the screen. But how do we use this? If we go straight to the police, they'll find a way to bury it. They've got connections, influence. We need a way to make this public before they can spin the story. Ella grins, her eyes gleaming. Oh, I have a few ideas. Social media is a beautiful thing, my friends. Once this goes live, it's game over for them. I exhale, my heart racing, the reality of what we're about to do settling over me like a cold, wet blanket. This isn't just about us anymore, I say, my voice trembling. It's about everyone they've used, everyone they've stolen from. We need to hit them where it hurts the most. Their reputation. Lucas slams his laptop shut, his eyes dark and determined. Then we take this to the reunion. A hush falls over the room. the weight of his words sinking in. The reunion. It's less than a week away, a carefully orchestrated family event my parents have hosted every year for as long as I can remember. It's their crowning moment, their chance to show off their perfect lives, their perfect family. The thought of walking into that den of snakes, of standing up to them in front of everyone, sends a shiver down my spine. But it's the only way. It has to be public. It has to be undeniable. Sophie straightens her jaw, setting with a fierce, newfound resolve. We'll need more than just this. We'll need witnesses, allies, people who can back us up. Lucas nods, his face hardening into a mask of determination. I'll talk to our cousins, see who's willing to stand with us. I know some of them have been burned by Mom and Dad's schemes too. If we can get them on our side. I force a tight smile, my mind already racing through the possibilities, the risks, the potential fallout. Then we turn their perfect little gathering into a reckoning. Ella claps her hands, her eyes bright with excitement. All right, team, let's burn this house of cards to the ground. As the room dissolves into a flurry of whispered plans and frantic typing, I lean back, closing my eyes for just a moment, letting the chaos swirl around me. I picture my parents' faces, their carefully constructed empire crumbling around them, their secrets laid bare for all to see. For the first time in years, I feel something close to hope. We're not just surviving anymore. We're fighting back. And for once, I believe we might actually win. The reunion is a chaotic swirl of forced smiles, stiff hugs, and carefully curated small talk. The air buzzes with the clinking of glasses, the low hum of classical music, and the occasional shrill laugh from one of my aunts already a few glasses of Chardonnay deep. My parents, the hosts of this twisted family circus, glide through the crowd like royalty, their smiles polished, their laughter rehearsed. I stand near the back, my heart pounding. My palms slick with sweat. Lucas is beside me, his face a carefully controlled mask of indifference, but I can feel the tension radiating off him like heat from a furnace. Sophie hovers nearby, her eyes darting nervously around the room, her hands twisting in her lap. Ella, ever the master of chaos, leans casually against the bar, her phone already poised to capture every explosive second. The plan is simple. Expose the truth, then walk away. Burn the bridges and watch the empire fall. But as the seconds tick by, my nerves begin to fray, the doubt creeping in. What if this backfires? What if they twist this around? Make us look like the ungrateful, rebellious children they've always painted us as? Lucas catches my eye, his jaw tightening as he catches the flicker of doubt in my expression. He leans in, his voice low, his breath warm against my ear. We've got this, Ava. We've come too far to back down now. I nod, swallowing the lump in my throat, forcing my hands to stop shaking. He's right. We've torn down the walls of their lies, uncovered their secrets, pieced together the puzzle they tried so hard to bury. It's too late to turn back. The room quiets as my father steps up to the small stage at the front. His hand raised for silence, his face a picture of calm authority. My mother stands beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm, her eyes scanning the crowd with a practiced predatory smile. Family, friends. My father begins, his deep, resonant voice carrying easily over the crowd. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's a pleasure to see so many familiar faces to share this special evening with those we hold dear. I clench my fists, my nails digging into my palms. I can feel Lucas tense beside me, his breath coming in short, shallow bursts. Sophie glances at me, her eyes wide, her face pale. And of course, my father continues, his eyes sweeping over the crowd. I want to take a moment to recognize my son Lucas for his remarkable achievements. He has made us all so proud, and I have no doubt he will continue to lead this family into a bright, prosperous future. The room erupts into polite applause, my mother's eyes shining with a pride so intense it borders on fanaticism. Lucas swallows hard, his jaw clenching, his hands trembling at his sides. That's the cue. I step forward, my pulse roaring in my ears, my mouth dry as sandpaper. Ella gives me a quick, encouraging nod, her phone already rolling, capturing every second. I clear my throat, the sound cutting through the applause like a knife. Heads turn, eyes lock onto me, confusion flickering across the faces of my aunts, uncles, and cousins. Actually, I say, my voice steady, my heart pounding. There's something we need to talk about, something you all deserve to know. My parents' heads snap towards me, their eyes wide, their faces draining of color. My mother's hand tightens on my father's arm, her nails digging into his sleeve. I reach into my purse, pulling out a stack of documents, the damning evidence Lucas unearthed, the proof of their decades-long betrayal. I hold them up, My hands steady, my voice growing stronger with each word. For years, I say my voice echoing off the walls our parents have been stealing from us. From all of us. They've drained trust funds, funneled money into offshore accounts, lied about family investments, and built their perfect little empire on the backs of everyone in this room. A stunned silence falls over the room, the air thick with disbelief and simmering rage. I see heads turning, eyes widening, whispered conversations breaking out in the corners. My father's face turns a deep, furious red, his fists clenching at his sides. My mother's mouth falls open, her carefully crafted mask of control slipping for the first time in years. Lucas steps forward, his voice sharp, his eyes blazing. They stole from us, from our futures, from our children's futures. They lied, cheated, and manipulated us all to build a life they never deserved. Sophie stands beside him, her hands shaking, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and fury. They turned us against each other, made us doubt ourselves, made us think we were less just so they could stand on our shoulders and pretend to be better than us. My father takes a step forward, his eyes narrowing, his voice a low, dangerous growl. Enough. This is absurd. You have no idea what you're talking about. I smile a cold, bitter smile, the kind I've only recently learned how to wear. Actually, we do. We have the emails, the bank statements, the transfer records. We have everything. Ella steps forward, her phone still recording, a wicked grin spreading across her face. Smile for the camera, Derek. This is your legacy, your real legacy. The room erupts into chaos. Voices shouting, glasses shattering, chairs scraping against the polished hardwood floors. My parents turn their faces twisted in rage and desperation, their carefully constructed world collapsing around them. I take a step back, the document still clutched in my hands, my heart racing, my pulse thundering in my ears. I lock eyes with Lucas, his face hard, his jaw set, his eyes blazing with a fire I've never seen before. We've done it. We've pulled the mask off, exposed the truth, torn down the walls of lies they spent decades building. As my parents are pulled aside by a small group of panicked, furious relatives, their voices rising in a cacophony of accusations and denials, I feel a strange, unfamiliar sensation settling in my chest. Freedom. I turn my eyes, locking onto Ella's, her grin wide, her phone still rolling. I nod, a small, silent gesture of thanks, a victory of something bigger than revenge. We walk out together, the echoes of shattered glass and broken lies following us into the cool night air. Our footsteps steady our hearts, finally truly free. Story 2. When I awoke in the hospital, the first thing I noticed was the stillness. No squeaky wheels, no buzzing monitors, and no chatting nurses. Just the weight of knowing that something was seriously off and the empty echo of my own breathing. I'm Paris, and I've learned over the past 12 years that family isn't always what it seems. But when I was resting in that hospital bed, my brother did something that I could not have predicted. You're really fortunate to be alive. Earlier that morning, the doctor informed me that the hit and run had caused serious harm. Weeks of recuperation are ahead. I nodded, already seeing my closest friend Eloise taking care of my 12-year-old daughter Monica while I recovered. When Eloise rushed into my room, her hands shaking and her face hot, the stillness was broken. I'm terribly sorry, Paris, but I made an effort to stop him. Who is stopping? What took place? Is Monica doing well? Monica is doing well. She is at physical therapy with Natasha. It is. The vehicle is it. Josh made the sale. I lost my train of thought. Which van? Your van is accessible. Monica's. While you were asleep, your brother arrived with some documents. You would approve the deal, he said. The world slanted to one side. Our lifeline was the accessible van, specially made to accommodate Monica's wheelchair, adjusted to reflect her independence. After Robert's death, we had purchased it using the proceeds from his life insurance. It's not possible, I said. He is unable to. I never do. I attempted to contact your parents. Eloise took hold of my hand and went on. They said? They claimed to be aware of it. My fingers trembled as I grabbed my phone. On the third ring, Mom picked up. Are you phoning regarding the vehicle, Paris? Josh claimed to have discussed it with you. I'm in the hospital, Mom. How could I have discussed anything with him? Avoid being theatrical. In any case, Monica hardly ever leaves the house. Josh needed the funds for a potential investment. You weren't utilizing it either. Her voice chilled my veins with its familiar frost. 3 times a week, Monica attends therapy sessions. She has doctor's appointments at school. How should she? Everything is always so hard because of you. Mom let out a sigh. Josh is making an effort to assist the family. When the cryptocurrency takes off, he promised to split the proceeds. Before she could continue, I hung up. Memories came flooding back. Josh is taking money out of my education fund. In order to finance his unsuccessful business, Josh persuaded our parents to refinance their home. Josh kept taking while they grinned and gave him permission to do so. It buzzed on my phone. Josh drooled, "Hey sis, are you feeling better? The vehicle is where I sold it to a Milwaukee man. Got a fantastic deal as well. Do not be concerned. When the cryptocurrency moves, I'll let you know. This is enormous. Retirement level in Paris? Enormous. You were not entitled." He chuckled. In fact, I laughed. You're being absurd, come on. Monica, like everyone else, is able to use standard transit. Quit being so sentimental about everything. It was tailored to her particular condition. Yes, and the cost of those changes is excessive. I did you a favor, you see. Sometimes you have to learn to let go. The line died. My hands trembled with anger and powerlessness as I gazed at the phone. But something else stirred beneath the rage. Something that had been waiting for this moment, something cold and calculating. Because I had spent years preparing for something like this, something my brother was unaware of and my parents never bothered to find out. Every asset was safeguarded, every account was protected, and every document was meticulously stored. I learned from Robert's passing that security is more than just locks and alarms. It's about being prepared for the moment when the people you should trust reveal their true selves. My phone came back to life. A text from Monica. Mom, when are you coming home? The new driver doesn't know how to secure my chair properly. I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. My sweet, brave girl trying so hard to adapt while her own family betrayed her. But they'd made a crucial mistake. They thought my hospital stay had left me powerless. They were about to learn how wrong they were. I opened my banking app and clicked the alert button I'd set up years ago. Within seconds, a notification appeared. Unusual deposit detected. Account flagged for review. Josh's crypto dreams were about to crash and burn. And it would simply be the beginning. The hospital room felt smaller with each passing hour. I watched Monica through our video chat, my heart breaking, as she tried to sound cheerful about missing her art class because the new transport service had canceled last minute. It's okay, Mom. I can catch up next week, she said, adjusting her glasses. But I saw the shadow cross her face, the slight tremor in her voice. Baby, I need to tell you something about the van. I know, she interrupted quietly. Uncle Josh sold it. I heard Granny talking about it on the phone. Of course, she knew Monica had always been too sensitive for her own good, just like she'd suspected something was amiss the day Robert died. Hours before we got the call about the accident. I'm very sorry, honey. I should have. Don't apologize. Mom, it's not your fault. She hesitated, then added, Grandma claimed we were being selfish about the van anyhow, that average families don't require special automobiles. The usual wrath rose up. I remembered all the times they ignored Monica's needs, the birthday celebrations in inaccessible sites, the family holidays planned without considering her wheelchair, the persistent refrain of "you're babying her too much." Every time I raised my voice, Eloise's texts rang on my phone. Josh just attempted to take $50,000 out of his account. The bank reported it as questionable. At the downtown branch, he's losing his temper. In spite of me, I smile. Everything was coming together. I have some calls to make, Monica, honey. Before going to bed, I'll video chat with you one more. All right, Mother. Her tone faltered. Will you battle with them once more? No, darling, I'm going to prevail this time. I hung up and contacted my lawyer, Jacob. He responded right away. Paris. I was anticipating your call. I learned more about the vehicle from Eloise. What choices do I have? Your brother sold property he didn't have the legal right to, which is fraud. I've already begun the process of tracking down the seller and freezing his assets. However, you should be aware of another issue. I didn't breathe. The cash he received from the vehicle. He attempted to use it as security for a large debt. He tried to transfer money through your parents' accounts after it was detected. I gave a sour laugh. I'll guess. They assisted him. They made an effort. But do you recall the safeguards we established following Robert's passing? They're functioning just as planned. I had discovered my financial fragility the hard way after Robert's passing. Josh had attempted to challenge the will on the grounds that I wasn't stable enough to oversee Robert's property. At that point, I met Jacob and began constructing my safety net. I got another call on my phone. Josh once more. I let the voicemail go. "Your brother is becoming frantic," Jacob went on. "In the past hour, he has tried 3 times to access several accounts. Every effort raises a new red signal. Excellent. What comes next?" We hold off. "The fraud department of the bank is already looking into this." My phone buzzed once more after they made the connection between these questionable transactions and the van sale. Mom texted me. "You're creating issues at the bank," Josh said. "How come you're only able to think about yourself?" As the nurse checked my vitals, I showed her the message. She gave an incredulous shake of her head. "The accident that brought you here may not be as bad as your family." Silently, she said, "An email from Monica's physical therapist, Natasha, appeared as another notification. Documentation of how therapy is impacted by transportation issues. Attached is the schedule. If you require anything more for the court case, please let me know." I had forgotten that I had requested that she record everything. Nice. Comprehensive. Without realizing it, Natasha was bolstering my argument. My phone rang once more. "This time, Josh is my wife," I replied. "What the devil is happening, Paris? None of Josh's accounts are accessible." "That's odd," I said coolly. "Perhaps he need to inquire with the cryptocurrency exchange about which he was so enthusiastic. This isn't amusing. We need to pay our expenses." We also did. Josh nevertheless sold our van. She fell silent for a while. "You agreed to it," he replied. I lay in a hospital bed asleep. Oh. One more pause. God, please. I closed my eyes and considered Monica's question when she hung up. Would I battle with them once more? Namas. A fair match was conveyed by fighting. A fair trade. There would not be a fight. I received another alert on my phone. A significant withdrawal effort was denied. While the inquiry is ongoing, the account is suspended. I grinned. There would be a reckoning. Josh arrived at my house with a stack of documents and a pitying grin that stopped short of his eyes the day after Robert's burial. You're in mourning, he had stated. Give the estate to me. With Monica, you already have plenty on your plate. As I looked at him across my kitchen table, I recalled all the times he had taken care of our family's needs, including investment plans, unsuccessful ventures, and the enigmatic costs that always seemed to empty shared accounts. No, I answered plainly. I had met Jacob at that time. Young, observant, and surprisingly aggressive for a business attorney. After looking at my predicament, he knew just what I needed. 3 years later, I was in my hospital bed witnessing the results of those preparations. Jacob explained the most recent events to me, and the vampire is assisting. As he scattered papers on my bedside table, he spoke. He is prepared to give it back when we demonstrated the fraudulent nature of the deal. However, that isn't the fascinating aspect. What is the money trail? Your brother is not as smart as he believes, despite his best efforts to conceal it. Are you curious about the true whereabouts of the van money? I gave a nod. Debts from gambling, not cryptocurrency. For months, he has been losing money. It buzzed on my phone. Eloise texted. Josh simply stormed out of the home. I received a call from your parents asking for information on the accounts. They are beginning to panic, Jacob noted. Do you want the temperature to rise during our video discussion? Monica's face crossed my mind. I'm making a great effort to be bold. Take action, Jacob called using hushed legalese that I had grown accustomed to over the years. He was grinning as he hung up. An official inquiry has been started by the bank's fraud department. By the end of the day, they will get in touch with his employer. My phone rang at the perfect moment. I put it on speaker once again, Mom. Have you done anything? She made a demand. According to Josh, his accounts have been locked. Fascinating. Has he explained why to you? You're being nasty about the van. He replied. He committed fraud in an attempt to assist the family. It wasn't deception. He had documents. Fake documents. When I was unconscious, Mom, do you want to tell the bank investigators that? She fell silent for a while. Her voice had changed when she spoke again. Smaller, not sure. You're not understanding. He had an investment that required the funds. Debts from gambling, I clarified. Inquire about the casino receipts from him. The line died. Another notice appeared on my phone. In response to an anonymous report regarding financial malfeasance, Josh's employer's human resources department sent out an email. I sent it on to Jacob. He claimed it was perfect time. I recently completed the paperwork for the civil complaint. When his boss noticed that we had been stopped by a tap on my door, Monica's physical therapist, Natasha, came in carrying a heavy document. She said I brought everything. She hesitated and provided information on her therapy schedule, transportation records, and missing appointments since the van was sold. I'm giving this to you at Monica's request. She gave me a sketch, Monica's project for art therapy. Our family was depicted as stick figures with Monica and I on one side of a large hole in the ground and Josh and my parents on the other. She had scrawled over it, "Broken things can't always be mended." My throat constricted. Thank you. Natasha. Jacob went over the paperwork after she left. This is really good. Clearly affects the medical treatment of a youngster. The judge will. Once more my phone buzzed. A family friend texted me. Josh is throwing a celebratory dinner today. Did you know about it? It has to do with early retirement. I showed the message to Jacob. He arched an eyebrow. Isn't he a little early in celebrating? Not for very long. I launched my banking app and started the last procedure we had established years before. A thorough investigation and freezing of every linked account. Are you certain about this? Jacob inquired. He sold my daughter's independence for gambling money after we pulled the trigger. My parents stood up for him when I said it gently in a hospital bed. With a nod, Jacob placed the call. My phone began to vibrate nonstop in a matter of minutes. Text messages, notices, and calls. The system was operating precisely as intended. Paris. Jacob spoke in a soft tone. There's no turning back now. Your household? As soon as they determined that Monica's requirements were bothersome, they ceased to be family. I took another look at her drawing. Broken items can occasionally be replaced with stronger ones, but cannot always be mended. One last notification flashed on my phone. Numerous accounts have been frozen while a criminal investigation is ongoing. I was prepared for the impending storm. It was precisely 9:47 a.m. when the mayhem began. I know this because Josh's first frantic call to my hospital room came while I was keeping an eye on the time. What on earth is going on? Desperation broke in his voice. Nothing is accessible to me. Really? How annoying that is for you. It's similar to having your vehicle sold without your consent. Paris, this isn't funny. Today I'm meeting with investors. Debts from gambling are not investments. Josh. There was a pause in the line. His voice was low as he spoke again. Risky. What are your knowledge on that? Everything? The loans, the casino revenues, the falsified documents? Are you okay with me going on you a little? Be cautious, I cut you off. The inquiry is recording everything you say. He ended the call. My parents phoned 3 minutes later. Your brother is crying at our house. Mom told me to solve this right now. What should be fixed? The steal, the scam he did. The deception. He was wrong. Dad added his voice. We are related. It is our duty to provide forgiveness. For example, you were understanding when I needed assistance paying Monica's medical costs. Or Josh's challenge to Robert's will. That was not the same. Mom lost her temper. Josh was attempting to safeguard the family's finances. From a child with a disability, Dad yelled, "Don't misrepresent what we said. You've been so theatrical all along." Okay. What the heck that I wouldn't allow Josh to take from me, so guarded by my daughter? Your family is being betrayed by you. Now Mom was weeping. Following everything that we have done for you. Even I was astonished by the rough, frigid sound of my laughter. I wasn't betrayed in that way. I was protected by it. I hung up and sent Eloise a text. How is Monica doing secure in my home? Your brother drove by with a furious expression. I made a police call. I phoned Jacob with trembling hands. On it already. Before I could say anything, he said, 10 minutes ago I filed a restraining order. The police know. There was another call. Again, Josh's wife. His office was phoned by the bank. Silently, she said, "A official inquiry is being started. Paris is someone I know. Everything they're claiming he did is accurate. She broke down in tears. He said that he could fix it and that it was simply a poor investment. He also remarked so about the eatery, as well as the real estate plan and the digital startup. How should I proceed? I suggested that you get an excellent lawyer, and while you can keep your accounts apart. The next phone was from Josh's office and his boss sounded official and stern. We need to confirm some details regarding specific financial transactions, Mrs. May. I pointed them in Jacob's direction. Josh was suspended for an investigation within an hour. Monica texted me and my phone chimed. Grandma just got a call from Uncle Josh. She is sobbing loudly. Mom, are you all right? I'm all right, sweetie. Remain with Eloise. I understand what you're doing, she said. I'm not angry. My eyes stung with tears. My intelligent, observant kid who knows more than she should. My vitals were checked by a nurse. Your blood pressure is elevated, she said. Do you want me to limit visitors? They won't come here, sorry. When things have become tough, they never do. She gave me a hand pat. Family issues. Justice is a problem. My phone came back to life. This time, a detective. We are investigating allegations of harassment and illicit wealth transfers, ma'am. Do you possess the original van's ownership documents? Everything will be sent by my lawyer. What about the suspect, your sibling? He has visited your land. Ask Eloise, my buddy. She has security video. Once the investigator had hung up. Tired. I closed my eyes. Now the wheels of justice were turning slowly but steadily toward its end. Josh texted me one last time. Do you believe you have won? You don't know what's going to happen. When Jacob came in with additional paperwork, I showed him. Threats are empty. He claimed to be aware of his corner. Will it suffice? You've been recording everything for years, Paris. The pattern of financial abuse, the theft, and the deception. It's more than sufficient, I assure you. My phone rang with a news alert as though to validate what he had said. Financial offenses are being investigated against a local company executive. Monica's picture of the fissure in the ground between us and them came to mind. It was no longer a crack. There was a chasm, and it was them that dug it up. It was the last time my phone lighted up. The van buyer's message. I was unaware that it had been taken. I'll give it back. I don't want to be involved. Even while everything was coming together, triumph seemed unfulfilling. At last, the physicians gave me the all-clear to return home. However, the conflict was far from ended. There were new chances for justice every day. I grabbed them all. Josh's employer received the anonymous tip first. Thorough records of each questionable transaction, falsified paper, and embezzled money. I provided printouts of Monica's therapy plans and medical records which demonstrated the precise disruption his theft had caused. During his daily visit, Jacob stated that the board needs a complete audit. They're discussing criminal accusations. Josh's wife was buzzing on my phone once more. He's drinking, she said in a whisper. He constantly threatening to hold you accountable. Change your locks and make a note of everything I suggested. I next got in touch with every bank Josh has ever worked with. His credit lines collapsed one by one as evidence of his fraudulent actions became available. Monica was brought to see by Eloise, who wheeled her cautiously into my hospital room. My daughter has keen, perceptive eyes. Uncle Josh returned to Grandma's home. He was shouting about Bitcoin, she claimed. Did he frighten you? No. As you mentioned, Louise also phoned the police. They removed him. I gave her hand a squeeze. I apologize that you must witness all of this. I'm not. She spoke firmly. Mom, he injured us. We were always harmed by him. Monica's physical therapist, Natasha, sent me an email after they departed. In addition to expert advice about the psychological effects of abruptly losing mobility, she had prepared a thorough report detailing how Monica's treatment plan had been affected by the van's theft. Autonomy. Jacob added it to our expanding legal toolkit when I sent it to him. He stated the DA's office is interested. Now this extends beyond civil court. My mother called and my phone glowed. She accused Josh's wife of abandoning him. Are you content now? Did he feel content when he took something from his niece? He was wrong. No, ma'am. Forgetting a birthday is an error. He was guilty of criminal fraud. Our home was visited by the cops. Her voice broke. How humiliating was that, do you know? You have no idea how awkward it was to tell Monica's school why she was no longer able to go on field trips. She ended the call. Dad phoned Princess after a few minutes. For the first time in a long time, he started using my childhood nickname. This is something we can resolve. Simply drop the charges just like you did when I needed assistance. It's unfair. Seeing my kid lose her freedom because her uncle needed money for gaming is also unacceptable. Josh's employer emailed the whole business the following day to inform them of his suspension and the continuing inquiry. I had ensured that an anonymous tip concerning the story was sent to all local business publications. His career is over. Jacob affirmed that he would not be touched again. Monica texted me and my phone chimed. Are you trying to ruin them, Mom? I took a long time to look over her message before answering. No, they were the ones who did it. I got additional news from the outside world via Eloise. Josh attempted to get into his retirement funds. They're frozen. 2. His wife changed the locks on his car so he's sleeping in it. Excellent. I spoke, but my chest reverberated with an empty sound. When Jacob showed up with new documentation, it was the last straw. Do you recall the documentation Josh falsified in order to sell the van? The notary stamp was traced. It's not real. That is an additional offense. Without hesitation, I signed the new legal complaints. My family ties seemed like they were being more ruined with each signature. Once more, my phone buzzed. A call from an unidentified number. Sister, you believe you're really intelligent. Be mindful of your back. I showed Jacob. Excellent. Oh, he said. Another restraining order breach. I will include it in the file. Monica video phoned me from Louise's place that night. She posted on Facebook that Grandma was sobbing. She wrote on family loyalty and ungrateful kids. Are you all right? Did she think about this? I believe that, but what will happen after it's all done, Mom? We start over. Without them, I replied. Is it going to be better? I reflected on Monica's years of manipulation and the persistent disregard for her needs. The way they had always put Josh's safety ahead of ours. Yes, I answered firmly. Since it will be truthful, it will be better. After I hung up, I examined my phone's expanding evidence collection, which included screenshots, recordings, papers, threats, and more. Every item added to my arsenal of truthful weapons. But I kept thinking about Monica's question. When it's all over, what happens? I knew this, but I didn't know. Despite the pain, eliminating the infection is sometimes the only way to recover. On a Tuesday, the vehicle returned. The flatbed truck brought it to our driveway, and I watched from my recently installed security cameras. A $5 compensation was the buyer's symbolic settlement. I called up the stairs, Monica desperate to get him to clean his hands of the whole filth. The vehicle has arrived. Wheeling to the window, she gazed at it in silence. At last, she said something. I'd rather not use it. Why not? It no longer feels secure. Uncle Josh could show up. Do it again. My heart broke. Something else. He had taken away her sense of safety. We'll sell it. I choose to get a new one. In your name. It buzzed on my phone. Jacob with updates. Next month is when Josh's preliminary hearing is scheduled. The DA is advocating for criminal prosecution. Additionally, your brother has been seen threatening people at neighborhood bars. Is he anywhere close to the house? No. But don't turn off the cameras. Natasha had just arrived for Monica's therapy session when I hung up. As she wheeled her stuff inside, she saw the back of the vehicle. We are not keeping it, Monica said firmly. Natasha nodded instantly, comprehending. Objects might sometimes have too many negative memories. As they worked, were you prepared to practice those stretches? I looked at my email. Documentation from Josh's wife's attorney included faked signatures, depleted accounts, and bank statements revealing years of concealed gambling debts. Everything she had written was taken by him, the same way he stole Monica's vehicle. I'm so sorry. I failed to see it sooner. I jumped when I heard a knock on the door. Eloise was the one who appeared concerned. People are hearing from your parents that you're suffering a mental breakdown. She said that Josh is being persecuted because of the trauma caused by Robert's passing. I gave a sour laugh. Do they inform others about the fraud inquiry as well? They claim that everything is misunderstood, that Josh was authorized. Who's my unconsciousness? My phone sprang to life. Mom is phoning once more. I choose to disregard it. How is Josh's job hunt going? I inquired with Eloise. Bad. The local business papers reported on his suspension. He's not being touched. One more knock. It was a delivery this time. A big envelope with no way to send it back. There were ancient family pictures inside that had been cut with scissors. One of the notes dropped out. You subjected us to this. When I presented it to Eloise, she reported the harassment to the police right away. According to her, they will want to dust for fingerprints. Keep your hands off anything else. Upstairs. Monica and Natasha were giggling and I could hear it. My chest tightened at the sound. I hadn't heard her laugh like that in a long time. Jacob texted me and my phone buzzed. Josh attempted to tap the home equity line of your parents. Our fraud alert was set off by it. That's frozen by banks. I answered. What comes next? Your parents are being questioned by the police over the falsified paperwork. They're refusing to cooperate. Naturally, they weren't. They didn't. Regarding Josh. When her session was over, Natasha came downstairs. I'm getting stronger, Monica said. She did, however, report having dreams about the van being taken once more. We're going to sell it, I reassured her. Beginning again. Well done. Trauma may adhere to things. In relation to it, she gave me a business card. When you're ready, this family therapist is excellent. Monica and I sat watching TV after she went. She was more reserved than normal. Are you all right, sweetie? Today, Grandma gave me a call. I said, she said. We're disbanding the family, she added. You told her that they were the first to break it. She rolled toward me. Will we be all right, Mom? My phone rang with a security system alarm before I could respond. There was motion in the driveway. Josh staggered around the van while we watched on the webcam stream. There was a sparkle in his palm. Is that a key? Monica muttered. No, I said, having already called 911. It's a blade. Minutes later, police cars pulled up and we watched in quiet. Flashing lights. Josh made an unsuccessful attempt to run. Vandalism and restraining order violations. Later, Jacob texted, he is being held. I discovered Monica looking out her bedroom window at the vehicle that evening. We will get a new one. I made a better promise. The vehicle is no longer the issue, is it? It's not, darling. She gave a sage nod. Occasionally, the things that are meant to help us advance really hold us in the past. Rather, I marveled at her intelligence and gave her a hug. My folks sent me another irate text when my phone chimed. I didn't read it before deleting it. While some things were worthless, others, like Monica's laughing during treatment, were worth every effort to preserve. It was pouring on the day I eventually went up to my folks. I wondered whether they even remembered who had purchased the wind chimes Robert had given them years ago as I stood on their porch and listened to them. Mom, who appeared older than I recalled, opened the door. Are you gloating now? No. I came to get answers. I followed her inside the home, which was eerily silent. Dad was sitting in his chair looking to the business news, which was subdued. He replied bluntly, Josh is gone. Last night I left town. You were blamed naturally. He did, of course. I stood there looking around the living room where so many family tragedies had taken place. Did he disclose the gambling debts to you before to or following the sale of Monica's van? His goal was to assist the family. Mom lost her temper and stole from his niece. It wasn't theft. He had documents. Forged documents. While I was unconscious, I interrupted. Do you want to see the evidence? Dad responded tiredly. We don't need to see your proof. You always made things so theatrical. I took my phone out and opened a document. Do you recall last month when you co-signed that home equity line? Josh mentioned that it was for his new company. They looked at each other. Marcus, are you curious as to what it was actually for the casino 7 figures? Mom's face became white. You're telling lies. All the paperwork is with the bank. They are looking at it as possible fraud. Did you know that involving property borders is a felony? What do you say? Dad's voice faltered. I'm claiming that you assisted Josh in using your home to launder money. Tomorrow is when the foreclosure notification from the bank should arrive. Mom flopped down on the sofa. It's not possible, he said. For example, he attempted to take Robert's life insurance money, Monica's medical expenses, or my college fund, which he had pledged to reimburse. You ungrateful little mother began to get up. I cautioned. For the sake of the inquiry, everything here is being recorded. Dad's hands shook. If you simply drop the charges as you have done each time we have requested assistance, we can resolve this. When Josh claimed that Monica's medical equipment was too costly for family trips, you abandoned her. You were so self-centered all the time. Always wanting special treatment, Mom yelled. Mom, basic mobility doesn't entail special care. But you didn't get that, did you? I took out another piece of paper. Here's something of interest. 6 times in the past year, Josh has pledged your home as security for his gambling debts. Did you even read the document you signed? Their silence was sufficient response. I went on, the banks are freezing everything. The house will be taken by them in a month. I would begin packing. This cannot be done to us, Dad muttered. Your folks are where no. You were Josh's facilitators and now you're his accomplices. Mom burst into tears. The well-known theatrical tears that had always been effective, following everything that we have done for you. All of your actions. I chuckled icily. We should list it. Ignored the demands of Monica. Allowed Josh to steal. Defended deception. I was gaslighted about abuse. Was there anything I missed? Get out, replied Dad softly. Simply leave. Thank you. However, I started by putting a last paper on their coffee table. You are being interviewed by the DEA on the falsified documents. I'd hire a competent attorney. I turned to go. Mom yelled, this is something you'll regret. We just have family. I stopped at the entrance. No, Mother. We chose our family and I go with Monica. The rain had ceased outside. At Louise's place, I got into my car and dialed Monica. Have you noticed them? She inquired. Indeed. Are they sorry? No, they're only upset. They were apprehended. She remained silent for a while. Is it possible for us to grab ice cream on the way home? I grinned, suddenly feeling lighter. We can, of course. Josh's wife sent me a text when my phone rang. He is no longer there. A message accusing everyone else was left. Traditional. Josh, next came another from Jacob Banks who was proceeding with the foreclosure. Your parents have 30 days. I pondered familial legacies, cycles broken, and repeated the weight of falsehoods and the liberation of truth as I drove to Louise's house. Monica was grinning and waiting outside. In my art assignment, I received an A. It's fantastic, baby. Ice cream. Of course. Are we bad people, Mom, for letting them lose everything? She said softly as we were leaving. I reflected on the years of manipulation, the way they allowed Josh to be destroyed while she struggled. No, I answered firmly. They made the decision to lose everything. We just decided against saving them from ourselves. With comprehension in her eyes, she nodded. Love might sometimes entail accepting the repercussions of one's actions. That's right. Mom, this was the last time my phone buzzed. Once more, I didn't answer the phone. For new chapters to start, some have to end. Monica's name was prominently emblazoned on the registration papers of the new van, which arrived shining white on a beautiful morning. Wheeling around it, she examined every inch of it. No one can take it away, she said. And it's beautiful. No one. I gave my full confirmation that it is yours. It buzzed on my phone. One more band number. Since Josh vanished out in the West and my parents lost the house, they had been phoning every day, leaving a trail of failed checks and unfulfilled promises. Are you still receiving calls? As Monica tested the new wheelchair lift, Eloise inquired. Eventually, they will stop. Are you aware of your parents' new residence? A few rentals are located across town. People are being told that I ruined the family. Our chat was interrupted by Monica's voice. Come look at this, Mom. She used artwork from her treatment sessions to adorn her area of the van. Paintings of wide sky and butterflies that are cheery and cheerful. There are no more earth fissures. Families will no longer be split apart. Lovely. I fought back tears as I spoke. Don't weep. Mom, it's a good thing. My phone sprang to life. Jacob is phoning to provide an update. The accusations he reported are being pursued by the DA's office. They want to see evidence of effect in Monica's therapy records. No, I spoke aggressively. She's experienced enough. Mom. From inside the vehicle, Monica cried out, I'd want to assist. I wish to inform them of what transpired. I answered the phone. You are not required to. I do indeed. For the following child whose uncle believes they are not deserving of protection. I pulled out the phone. The interview was arranged by Jacob, but under her conditions. I hung up and saw Monica talking to Natasha, her physical therapist, who had arrived to give her approval for the new vehicle setup. I heard my daughter laughing from the other side of the driveway. Powerful. Not scared, not broken. Movement at the front gate was detected by the security camera. My mother was standing there with an envelope in her hand when I checked the feed. Do you want me to dial 911? Eloise inquired. Let me take care of things, please. I made my way to the gate. Mom's luxury clothing were swapped out for cheap store ones, making her appear smaller in some way. What are you looking for to provide you with this? She pushed through the gate with the envelope. This is Josh's admission. Before he vanished, he sent it to us. I carefully opened it. Years of theft, fraud, and manipulation are detailed in pages of irate scrawl. He notarized and witnessed his signature at the bottom. You're handing me this, but why? Because she forcefully swallowed. Because everything you said was correct. Monica's voice came to me from the driveway. Grandma. Tears flooded Mom's eyes. She's grown a lot. Children do that, even those you choose to ignore. I save Paris. The admission is sufficient. Is it okay if I tell her no? When you put Josh's safety ahead of hers, you forfeited that privilege. Her words halted me as I turned to go. I'm sorry. I apologize, but I realize it's too late. I turned around. You're correct. It's too late. When I got back to the driveway, Monica was looking on with interest. Did Grandma cry indeed? Good, she stated plainly. People sometimes have to cry in order to learn. I gave her a strong embrace. My phone buzzed as I marveled at her insight. Josh. His spouse. He was discovered by police in Las Vegas. Additional counts of fraud. He's requesting assistance. I showed the note to Monica. She gave it great thought. Do you intend to assist him? No. For some people, consequences are the only way to learn. She smiled after nodding. Can we go to my art class in the van? I'd want to show everyone. Naturally. Natasha approved the final mobility evaluation as we were loading up. She's doing very well, she said. Stronger each day. I did agree. Both of us are. Observing Monica successfully pushing her wheelchair into place while using the elevator herself. Something settled down in my chest, not precisely a peace. Something like victory tempered with wisdom, although the scars were still too fresh for that. The DA's office confirmed Monica's interview date and my phone lighted up one final time. She saw my worried expression. It's all right, Mom. I no longer feel afraid. No, because you demonstrated something significant to me. What is that letting people fall is sometimes a necessary part of loving them. Additionally, sometimes falling teaches them what's truly essential. I observed her getting comfortable in the car, organizing her painting tools, and discussing her upcoming project with Eloise. Powerful, autonomous, not scared. Although revenge didn't restore what I had lost, it did reveal them. What occurs when you take something away from someone who still stands to lose something? More significantly, it demonstrated to Monica that she was valuable enough to fight for at any cost. All set to go, I inquired. Are you ready? She grinned. Let's create some fresh memories together.